Hi, my name is Dylan, and my film, What Remains, is the story of two survivors, Sarah and Phil meeting one another mere moments from their deaths. What Remains took inspiration from a visual novel game called The Shadows That Run Alongside Our Car. Taking place in a post-zombie apocalyptic England, possibly several months after the fall of society. At its core, the film is a story of survival against all odds and the fear of death. The film's structure is segmented into three separate timelines: Sarah's backstory, Phil's backstory, and the awkward get-to-know-you. As a mixture between zombie horror and a psychological thriller, the story of how these two characters made it this far in a world ravaged by zombies is shown fractured through lies and half-truths, told to one another, and the realities and horror shown through their flashbacks. Sarah is depicted as a brave and brash character, a leaderly but realist speaker. Her persona is made as an answer to Phil's. His soft-spoken, friendly and optimistic views would seem to be counterintuitive in this world. Primarily set in a cluttered bedroom, the two protagonists recount the day leading up to their current predicament, whilst the undead pound at the barricaded bedroom door. Their stories, though altered to hide their sins, do tell a fraction of the truth, though as the two get to know one another, they casually begin to let their guard down. After saving Phil's life, Sarah immediately lays down the law with the promise of violence. Knowing he has no other choice, he accepts but keeps his firearm hidden. As the two protagonists search the room fruitlessly for any weapons or food, the reality and mortality of the situation sets in. The film opens as Sarah charges flustered into her room, though before she can close the door, Phil shouts to her to keep the door open. Against her better judgment, Sarah decides to keep the door open, allowing the man she has never met before into the room right as the undead reach the entrance. The two protagonists rapidly bar the door and breathe a sigh of relief, though the dead pound relentlessly on their threshold. The first flashback shows Phil and a previously unseen male character running as a small group of zombies lay chase. Their movements strained and weapons bloodied. It is obvious they had been fleeing for some time. The next flashback shows Sarah as she hides behind a car, watching as another group of zombies march past. As the two get to know one another, a sense of tension is ever present. Once past the initial introduction, the two begin to discuss how they managed to survive and what led them to this room. Upon each lie, a flashback reveals a much grimmer reality. Their deceits are interspliced with horrific shows of the truth. Whilst our protagonists talk to one another and search the room, Phil takes note of Sarah's duffel bag, but is quickly silenced after questioning its contents. A flashback proceeds to show how Sarah allowed a random woman to get torn apart by the shambling corpses after noticing her drop the duffel bag. After snatching the bag, the woman calls after Sarah for help. She takes a moment to look behind her, but Sarah chooses to leave the woman to perish. Telling Phil that the bag contains clothes and nothing more, another flashback proceeds from his perspective. Phil and his unnamed comrade continue to run until they come to a dead end. As the friends back against a wall and try desperately to come up with an escape, the friend notices a small escape that only one of them can fit through. Knowing only one can survive, the two begin to fight. Phil, after taking several punches, finally kills his friend with a firearm and, using his friend's body as bait, takes the advantage and makes his escape. The final flashback shows that during her entrance into the house, Sarah was bitten and is quickly turning into one of the undead. As the last scene slowly unfolds, we see Phil's self-preservation take hold. He cannot take his eyes from the duffel bag and discreetly loads his firearm, ready to kill for food he has not even seen if need be. Whereas Sarah steadily begins to accept her fate. She does not tell Phil, so that she may cling desperately for what little time she has left. The film ends with a shot of the two slumped against opposite walls as Sarah's eyes close and Phil charges his weapon.